Hey guys, so my name is Leon, and today we're gonna go over episode 14 of Big Brother 22, aka Big Brother All Stars. With that being said, let's just jump right into the episode. So the episode starts off with Christmas being the new HOH. Um, it's really good that Christmas won the HOH. It's good that she's the first woman to win the HOH competitions because, as you all know, most of the HOH competition up to this point has been won by men. Most of the competitions in this game period has been won by men. And Christmas is even before the HOH is the only women have won a competition in general in the game besides men. So it's good that Christmas is the first female HOH. But then with that being said, it goes into the Cody, it goes into basically how the competition and the HOH went, which several house guests, Danny choosing Daya Bay, Day choosing Cody and Memphis, for example. It went into the segment of talking about how certain house guests targeted other house guests that they don't want to see win HOH to go up against each other. And then in this segment, it focused more on Cody or how he screwed up because he was targeting Davon and Kevin, but the fact that he panicked because Kevin was targeting him first. And it's actually interesting and funny that Davon was this to him, but Davon knew he was full of it. And it also shows segment that Devon was basically like, oh, screw you, Cody. I know you try to play me, blah, blah, blah. So, anyways, then as Christmas win HOH, a couple people are excited that she won, including Nicole and Danny. They're like, yes, Christmas won. And also Enzo's another one that's excited that Christmas won because they are closely either in alliance with her or they closely work with her as a side deal. So they know that they're safe with Christmas being up. Then it shows Yvonne being a little upset that she didn't win HOH and Bailey also being a little upset with her. But then Tyler comes in and talks with them and says, hey, you was almost there, blah, blah. So I think that's interesting. And then it goes into another segment of, like I mentioned before, Enzo and Christmas talk about who they should target. And Christmas, throughout the episode, showed that she had limited options that she wants to target. That she can only target basically Kevin, David, Devon, and Bailey. Being that Ian, somebody who she wants to work with, and majority of the committee or the Six members, minus Devon Bailey, Christmas also work with them either inside the lines or outside of it. So she cannot really put them on the block as she be going against her initial line. So she talked about it was Enzo. She said, hey, Enzo tries to convince her, hey, Ian, you should look at Ian as a target, which that's it. Christmas said before she won't put Ian up. And said, hey, you could also look at Devon Bailey and David and people like that. So Christmas was like, okay, cool. And she also says that her and Enzo are on the same page as this. So she's excited to be working with someone like Enzo. With that being said, though, it goes to the next segment of Big Brother Basement, which is a new twist that they replace the safety suite with the first 3 weeks. The next 3 weeks, 3 new powers are given to players who are able to get the right icons and put into the right places in the boxes or whatever it's called, so they can access to win the powers. So it's a weird competition, but whatever. It has some funny segments, but by the end of the competition, David, Danny, and Christmas end up winning the powers. David's powers essentially, if somebody is HOH, he can also kind of like if you watch season 10, how Ollie and Dan on Dan's HOH was able to each have a nominee up there. So David's power similar to that is, hey, you have instead of you having 2 nominees, he can save one person from being nominated and they're safe for the whole week. Even despite of the Beatles being used, they cannot be backdoored or whatnot, and David can put another nominee. So it's kind of like a mix of that. It's kind of reminds me of the coup d'etat a little bit, or the Diamond Power Beat or whatever. Danny's power is essentially that if, let's say, she or somebody else went to HOH, normally HOH cannot compete the next week after. Her power is to allow the outgoing HOH to play again in a new HOH. She has 3 weeks to use that. Christmas's power is that she can protect somebody from being backdoored if somebody that she doesn't want to backdoor. Let's say if, for example, Bailey or Devon win HOH, they put up Tyler and Cody, and they want to backdoor Danny because when them get off the block, she can say, "Hey, Danny's not allowed to go up," and she can protect the nominee and protect herself probably. But anyways, those are interesting powers. I think it's innovative that Big Brother is trying to throw new twists and new powers into the game to throw off the house guests so that they had to improvise when stuff like that happens. But anyways, that being said, um, to add to the list of people who feel safe with Christmas, let's add Tyler to the list. Tyler talks to Christmas like, "Hey, I'm glad that you won HOH." And Christmas tells Tyler of her power, and Tyler's excited for her, and Tyler's glad that she won the power, she's HOH. Um, then it shows Cody, Enzo, and Tyler talk about, hey, they wish they got the powers, but as we all know, neither of the three won the powers, so it's unfortunate for them. But I think they'll be fine, even if they don't have the powers. I think nobody's really targeting them. Maybe they're targeting Tyler, but Cody has a lot of attention so far in the game to who he's in line with. Enzo's has the best social game so far, so I don't think they have anything to worry about. As for Danny, she tells Nicole Franzo that of her power, and I agree with Danny. Her power is kind of like mediocre, to be honest. But let's say if she wins HOH next week, she can win HOH. She not win HOH. She has the potential to win HOH 2 times in a row. So I think that's a good thing for her to have in her back pocket. Anyways, getting to the next segment. Bailey is a little upset with Danny. She hasn't talked to Danny in a few days. Even I think before the HOH when Danny chose Devon and Bailey to go because he got shot in the HOH competition. Bailey and Danny haven't been vibing as well as you think they should be. So Bailey's like, hey, Danny corners Bailey into the room. Bailey's like, hey, this is why I ain't been talking to you. I feel like you're coming after me, which is true if you watch the live feed and if you pay attention to the conversation that she had in the previous episodes. Danny is trying to get people to target. She's herself is not trying to target them. She's indirectly trying to target them. So, I mean, Bailey's right, but Bailey's basically told Danny information that Tyler, and I'm sure a few other people have told her that, hey, Danny's coming for her, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, I never said that, da, 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 da. And he was like, oh, you all come for me. And then Enzo comes to the room, and this is a force for Enzo. Enzo's like, yeah, Danny, I heard through the grapevine that you did try to target Bailey, whatever, which pisses off Danny, but it is what it is. Bailey's like, okay, yep, you were trying to target me, blah, blah. And then Bailey leaves the room, tries to keep it cool. Danny's like, Enzo, why do you, blah, blah. And Enzo's like, hey, he's not getting involved. So it's like a messy episode, and I don't think any of the three people played this particularly well. Danny goes to Christmas, say, hey, Christmas, Bailey and their bond. Specifically, Bailey trying to say that I'm trying to talk her, when I would it didn't, which we know she's kind of lying, or she probably forgot that she did. Because Christmas now is a dilemma. Christmas did not want to specifically target Bailey or Devon, but she didn't have much options, and Devon didn't really talk to her until that week. She has no choice in that matter because she's aligned with almost everyone's house, just like a few other people. Anyways, then Tyler talks to Bailey. Bailey talks to Tyler and says, hey, my back's against the wall. Can you help me out? Danny trying to corner me about blah. She's trying to keep it cool. And Tyler tries to calm her down, and Enzo tries to calm her down, but she still gets upset, unfortunately. Then she goes to the room, talks to Devon. Tyler's like, hey, I have your back. So I told you what was going on, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, by the end of the episode, Christmas says she's talking to Bailey Devon. She puts them both in the block. It's unfortunate. Christmas gets upset over it, but she really didn't have any other options. And I know from the show's perspective, it doesn't look great to have two women of color to be on the block. But for Chris's perspective, she wasn't really aligned with someone like Devon. Maybe Bailey, she probably had good conversation with Bailey, but Devon, she never really talked to Devon until this week, and neither her or Devon made efforts to talk to each other before because it's one HOH. So it's like, I feel bad for Christmas, but also I feel it's not great for Devon and Bailey. I feel bad for both Devon and Bailey that they both in the block together. Hopefully one could come down, but we'll see. Bailey hasn't really won anything, and Devon is worse at competition than Bailey. So we hope that one of them can win Embiid and see what goes from there. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this episode. More recaps coming soon, and just be on lookout for them. And adios.